pockets from Manchester down through 44. Gravois, Tesson Ferry area busy. A lot of traffic on southbound 141 at the south end, definitely from Helfrich down into Valley Park, and from south of San Simeon all the way down to 21. It's backed up pretty solidly. They were avoiding 270 because it was worse earlier. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through Big Bend's heavy, bumper to bumper from just west of Winghaven. It looks like we had a crash near Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then it's slow to 70 after that. Downtown, southbound 55, Arsenal to Bates is backed up. Z to McNutt still slow. 44 westbound and eastbound around the Poplar, you've still got delays. Next update at 5:20 from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
KMOX, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here until we get to around 6 o'clock. That's when Sports Open Line kicks in. So you're a busy man today. Well, not that busy. I guess this is like half a day compared to a ball game.
Yeah, this is much better. I get home at a respectable hour. I see my wife. Depending on what time my oldest gets to bed, I might see her. So, yeah, no, it's good. Yeah,
it's good times. We got a lot to do, and obviously we would love to get your thoughts. When I say thoughts, it can be questions. It can be just comments on what we're talking about or anything else with the Cardinals. During the Redbird Rush Hour, it's named after a baseball team. We're going to be talking baseball. And you can do that on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. You can text 314-436-7900 if you prefer that way as well. And let's just start, Matt. This is not any kind of, like truly meaningful mile marker date or number of games. But we have an off day. And you're heading out on a 9-game road trip. The road is where you've really struggled. At home, you've been phenomenal. You're coming off a really strong homestand that followed a decent series in Cincinnati. So you've won 10 of 15. You've won 5 in a row. You've won 7 of your last 9. And you're 500 at this point, which we're almost at the quarter pole. Yep. We're a game or two away from being at the 1 game away from being at the quarter pole. 2 games. 2 games away from being at the quarter point of the season. So let's just start it at that. So you're at the quarter pole. There have been certain serious problems in some areas, but there have been really big upsides in other areas. Where do you think this is heading based on what we've seen? Because, again, 500's fine at this point. You're not in a hole. Now, you'd want to be better. Let's be honest. I mean, we all want to see 5 or 6 games over 500 at this point. That would be phenomenal. But what do you think we're leading up to at this point, just based on 1 quarter of the season?
I think it's from a record standpoint, I think it's more of the same. I think the season's going to come to an end, and there's going to be a whole bunch of teams bunched up together in the NL Central. Right now, you have 4 teams that are separated by 3 games, and you have 3 teams that are in a second-place tie, and the Cardinals are in that group. Now, are some of the bullpen's going to be better? Look, Kevin, did you have on your bingo card on May 8th the Cardinals are going to lead Major League Baseball in hitting?
No. In batting average? No. And they're up there in on-base percentage, too. Well, they're just up there in offense generally.
They're number 1 in Major League Baseball in bat. And look, we all know batting average not end-all, be-all. But it's a fun thing to talk about for this. They're a 260 hitting team. The Dodgers and Phillies each at 259. So the Cardinals are number 1 in all of Major League Baseball in terms of batting average. I'll make a big prediction here. They're not going to finish the season number 1 in Major League Baseball in batting average.
Even if they don't, I mean, their runs scored puts them in a decent place. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's decent.
The point I'm trying to make is the stuff that hasn't been very good is probably going to get a little bit better. The stuff that's been really, really good is probably going to come back a little bit. But I think you add all that together, and it's going to turn into a season where they're probably in the neighborhood of 500, and that's good enough to keep them in contention.
See, I think that what we've obviously seen some real problems.
Yes.
Through 1 quarter of the season, and this is all we're talking about, Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker are still a problem. And it's a real one because you need production from those guys, or you're going to have to reduce their playing time. In Gorman's case, it's kind of impossible to judge, right? Because he didn't get a lot of regular time initially, then he got hurt, and he's getting more playing time lately. But that's probably going to change. We're going to talk more about the way the roster's changing tomorrow with Ivan Herrera coming back.
It's still a little herky-jerky. Like Ali said, we're going to give him this run now.
And they did for about 5 days.
Yeah, that's not run. That's 5 days isn't run. and he only played yesterday because Nolan Arenado's back. Now, that back issue, anytime the back starts to scream at you a little bit, that's something that can last. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on, and that definitely would impact Gorman's ability to have more playing time, but it really hasn't been that run that feels like they want to do with him.
Those are the only guys, though, that have been real disappointments. Contreras was for about 2.5 weeks, and he's been rocking ever since.
Yeah.
And in another few weeks, you're going to see his numbers look just like they did last year, the direction he's going right now. But everybody else, well, I'd say, Burleson's been a disappointment.
Yeah, but even he's started to turn around here a little bit lately.
Yeah, a little bit. But, I mean, he's a guy that you got to get power from. I mean, he's a big guy who's not a great defender, who doesn't run well. I mean, you're going to have to hit, and I don't mean just homers. I just mean we got to see a lot more slug.
Yeah.
Call it whatever, doubles, triples, homers, whatever, but it's got to be more slug for Alec Burleson. But most of the other guys on offense, it's plus. Victor Scott's been amazing. Lars Nootbaar's been exactly what you need him to be. Streaky, but overall 800 OPS and a 400 on base is perfectly fine.
Yeah, that'll play.
Mason Wynn's gotten better offensively. He's doing some things better. It's not perfect, but it's gotten better. Arenado's better than he was last year. Obviously, you got a lot out of Herrera. We'll see what it looks like once he gets back in there, but you're getting a lot out of him. So you're getting some good. You
didn't even mention a guy who's pitting at an elite level right now in Brendan Donovan.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah. But Brendan Donovan's playing like an all-star.
Yeah, like that. I remember you like doing a full stop at one point, doing a Brendan Donovan appreciation moment.
Yeah.
And you talked about him in terms of just being a guy who was going to do everything the right way and just a good, solid guy. Well, that's undervaluing him, right? Well, based off the quarter
based on this year,
he is playing at an elite level.
Yeah, and if he were a full-time second baseman, he's an all-star.
Yes,
at his current production levels. So there's a lot of good there on the pitching side. Libertor's emergence, we don't need to get into the details, but he's been pitching like one of the best pitchers in the National League. Sonny Gray has been dealing. But now he's starting to throw harder.
Right.
He was 94, 95 at times yesterday. Early in the year, he was 91.
People have talked a lot about some mechanical type stuff that's unlocked a little bit of velo there, which is good.
And he did get off to the slower start in terms of getting ready for the season that we talked about in spring. So he's looking more like Sonny and he pitched around it. Like, he did a great job navigating without the velo, and he's now getting that back. Obviously, Palante's a question mark. Moving forward, obviously Miles is, and Fetty's been a little bit rougher than we had hoped. But you've also gotten good showings from McGreevy. Graceffo's showing you something. You've got 3 guys in the pen you trust, and we're going to talk more about the pen later on. I guess the point is I can see the path to 88 wins.
Okay,
I'm not saying you're on it yet or that it's going to happen. I can see it.
Yeah, I think that's the ceiling. That's the absolute.
I would say 90 is the absolute ceiling.
Okay.
But yes, upper 80s is probably going to get you in a wild card spot, though.
Probably. And look, the National League is stacked. When you look at the how deep the National League goes in terms of good teams, and then can do that in the American League, the National League is stacked. So it might be challenging to get some of those wild card spots because of how good some of these other teams are going to be.
Yeah, no, that's true, especially the West with the Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants are adding a new element to that because I think the Diamondbacks are better than their record, and they're 19-18. But then the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers are all off to great starts. Atlanta's not, but they're going to get a boost.
They're fine.
Because Acuna's coming back soon, and Strider will be back from the hamstring thing soon. So they're going to get 2 all-star caliber players in there. They're going to be better than they are. It is going to be tough, by the way, because I think.
And then you have New York and Philadelphia. So if it goes Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, and those 4 teams in the West, how do you get 2 teams from the Central end?
That's a good point, because before the year, when we were doing our kind of preview, I think we all kind of agreed that you're going to get 1 team in the Central most likely.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got to have more than the Cubs. That's the number you need. But honestly, God, I mean, this is not the right way to put it, because I was going to say if you get to 88 and you don't make the playoffs, it's a sign, but it's not much of a sign because you added 5 wins and you didn't get in the postseason. So it would be a sign that you need more to go right, and you need to add more to this team. And you're going to have Weatherholt coming soon, who's having a pretty good first minor league season. You got some opportunities with some salary coming up at the end of the year to spread some money around. So we'll look at the bigger picture more as we move along. That's just a snapshot to kick things off. Let's talk about Ivan Herrera coming back. Let's talk about the bullpen more. In fact, let's start with the bullpen next, the new structure that's emerging for the Cardinals late in games. We'll do that here on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This traffic report's a service of FanDuel Sports Network. Westbound 70, some slow stuff. City limits to Jennings Station, the Rock Road out to 270, and Lake St. Louis out through 61. Eastbound 70 still jammed near the Warrenton roundabout. Past Warrenton, it's opening up about midway into Wright City. As you get through the rest area, it looks like you're back on track, but a lot of congestion has been out there all afternoon. Westbound 64 backed up. Kings Highway out through McCausland. It's jammed again just west of Winghaven. Stop and go pockets all the way out to 70. We had a couple of minor crashes there. 170 both ways. Southbound delays north of Delmar. There's a crash partially in the right lane at Delmar. It's heavy down to 64, and northbound Gawker's slow through the area. South 270, Olive down through Ladue. It's backed up at Manchester, slow through Big Bend, and then approaching Gravois down to Tesson Ferry. Southbound 141, Helfrich into Valley Parking from about Fenton Crossing, the Deerbergs Plaza there, all the way down to 21 is bumper to bumper. Southbound 55 Arsenal down to Bates is stacked up. Z down through McNutt's heavy. East and westbound 44 backs up around the Poplar Street Bridge. Cardinals fans, this season you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com to subscribe. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Another RX Watch brought to you by Onder Law.
There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Guys, Kevin Wheeler for Game Day Men's Health. You'll find him at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. First, let me just tell you what Game Day Men's Health has done for me. I started on their testosterone replacement therapy. It was about 2.5 months ago, coming up on 3 months. And it takes a little time for everything to kick in. And the reason I went with that, by the way, is because I went in, had a consultation. They did a blood test. They said, listen, your numbers are low. We can get you to where you were in the past. We can get you to the number where you're going to feel good. I'm like, all right, boom, let's go. And I can just tell you my experience. I can't predict yours. I can tell you mine. I feel like I did 10 years ago. I have more energy daily. You know how you get the ups and downs and you ride the roller coaster a little bit, especially, I'm 53, especially you get into your 50s, it starts to be a little bit more of a wide variation. That gap is close, man. It's more even keel and more good than bad on your average day. Don't have the heavy legs, not skipping days in the gym at all. In fact, adding days in the gym because that's how good I feel. Now, for you, just go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You can see all the things that they have for you. Maybe TRTs for you. Maybe you are interested in ED treatments or medical weight loss. They got all kinds of great treatments for you. Everything's certified by is overseen by board certified physicians. The staff are experts and they're very cool people. They take great care of you, and you all do this at one price that's explained up front. They don't make the changes as they go along. Don't add things. None of that. It's going to be told up front. You're going to know what you're doing. So you've got locations in Chesterfield. You got O'Fallon, Missouri, Glen Carbon, Illinois. It's GameDayMen'sHealth.com to get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
At Progressive, we're making things even easier. We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. This is a pretty quick hitter here, Matt, but we've talked a lot about the bullpen structure, how Steven Matz fits into it, how Graceffa fit into it, because based on this series against Pittsburgh, it's pretty clear. And the team's going away from the six-man rotation for the moment. And then Katie Wu reported this story today from the manager, from the team, from Ollie Marmol, describing kind of the way this new bullpen is shaping up. So we know the big three, have been Leahy, Maton, and Helsley. And it sounds like we might have a five now with Matz taking a prominent role there. And I thought it was interestingly described in that article today in The Athletic. as Matt's kind of moving into the role that Matthew Liberatore had last year.
Which makes sense.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Can cover innings, but can also cover leverage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Graceffo, he's still in the prove it mode, but he's shown some signs. His last 3 outings have been phenomenal.
It's crazy. Graceffo doesn't make the team out of spring. His first opportunity, he doesn't look good in Boston, but nobody looked good in Boston.
Nope.
And then he gets here, and he just has a little smidge of success. And that's enough for the Cardinals to say, we got to trust this guy right now.
More than other guys.
Right. That's the point. And like, I'm a Graceffo guy.
Yep.
I thought at one point he was going to make the club out of spring training. We saw that his velo can tick up when he's working in short stints.
Yeah, he's 97 regularly.
Yeah. So I'm glad this is happening, but it's funny that we've gone through everything that we've gone through this year, watching this team navigate through the bullpen, and a guy who's been here for 15 minutes is now one of your high leverage guys.
He's not quite, but he's getting there.
Right.
He may be that in a series against the Pirates. We'll see if they do that in Philly. We'll see if that happens in tougher situations or tougher teams. But the point is that we're starting to see, hopefully, a little structure take place. And look, I know Matt wants to start. I respect him for being a teammate and doing what the team needs, because this is what the team needs from him right now. Because Miles Mikolas can't be that. He can't be the weapon at the back end of the bullpen. And Eric Fetty, you're not going to do that. And he's not that guy. Neither is Palante. The guy that can fit that role, because you need it to be a lefty.
Yeah.
Because Matt's is better than Romero, and he's better than King right now. So this is what the team needs. I appreciate that he's willing to do it.
Yeah, and he's a really good dude. He'd like to start, but I think he'd like to win more than he'd like to start.
Yeah, and he could still start more.
Yes.
They've obviously kept that open. All right, we're going to talk about Ivan Herrera coming back, what that means for the roster and the lineup right here on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
The peace lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Blue Tail Medical Group is a pioneer in regenerative orthopedics. As joints break down over time, we lose our mobility and a life without pain. Surgery is not the only option. Dr. Matt Bays, David Crane, and Chris Wolf can use your own body's healing power to regrow soft tissue. No surgery, no long recovery times, and no drug dependence. Patients walk out of the office and resume full activity in a few days. Reclaim your joint health by calling Blue Tail Medical Group at 636-778-2900 or visit bluetailmedicalgroup.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Trust Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we still have busy traffic out there in a lot of spots. If you're going home westbound 70, it's one of the better ones. The busiest part is really Bryan Ord out through 61. Eastbound 70, though, you still got that jam from the Warrenton roundabout, west of Warrenton into the Wright City rest area. It hasn't changed all afternoon. Westbound 64 Kings Highway through McCausland slow. It's jammed Clarkson down through Chesterfield Parkway West where there's an injury crash. It's on the brakes again from 364 out to about Prospect. Again, we had a crash there as well. Southbound 270 north of Olive to Ladue, 64 to Manchester. Approaching 44 down through Gravois. That's all slow. Southbound 141, Helfrich into Valley Park, and it's jammed from Highway 30 all the way down to 21. Southbound 170, stop and go pockets from Olive down to 64. Northbound up from 64 to Delmar slow because they were looking at a southbound wreck there. Westbound 44 jammed downtown to the Poplar. Looks like an incident at that point. Southbound 55 Arsenal debates is heavy. A couple of slowdowns at Z and McNutt after that. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
At 5:30, it's a cloudy sky, 71 downtown at the Arch. In the 1970s, a young man by the name of Bob served as a novice for a year in a South St. Louis church. Today, he was named Pope Leo XIV. Local Steve Baker remembers the new pope from his days at the Augustinian Church and says Pope Leo XIV reminds him of Pope Francis.
You know, the guy he was all about the people. And I think Pope Leo XIV will be about the people.
Baker says Pope Leo was an unassuming blue-collar man and remembers drinking coffee and talking music and sports with him. The Anaheim Ducks hire a new coach with one of the best records in league history who spent time with the St. Louis Blues, but it's a controversial hire. That coach, Joel Quenneville, was accused of helping to cover up sexual abuse of a young player on his former team, the Chicago Blackhawks.
There's a black mark attached to Joel Quenneville.
Eric Stevens covers the Ducks for The Athletic.
At some point, somebody was going to hire Joel Quenneville because of the fact that the league reinstated him. But they're also going to deal with the blowback that comes with it. And that's what the Anaheim Ducks have decided here.
Quenneville resigned from the Florida Panthers in 2021 after the sexual abuse scandal went public. He was only reinstated to work in the NHL again last July. Missouri native President Harry S. Truman shared a birthday with a historic milestone of World War II.
The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
Harry S. Truman addressing the nation on VE Day 80 years ago. It was also his 61st birthday. Mark Adams from the Truman Presidential Library in Independence, Missouri, recalls the time President Lyndon B. Johnson called President Truman to wish him a happy birthday when he turned 80 in 1964.
President Johnson says to Truman, "I hope you know that you belong to all America and you are one of our greatest national assets." And he says, when you blow out those candles, I hope you think of all the lights you turned on, the burning in Greece and Turkey and Western Europe and the Far East and in the hearts of your countrymen. And I think that really touched President Truman.
You have a piano, I guess, in your study. Do you
Yes.
ever play the pianos in the public rooms, Mr. President?
Hardly ever.
Truman had bad eyes, which kept him from playing sports, but led him to two of his greatest passions, reading and music. He was a fine piano player. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
Truman Day is a state holiday, which means that's why you found some governmental buildings closed today. Clouds tonight, clearing sky, low 50. For tomorrow, a lot of sunshine, high 70. Saturday, some sunshine, high 73. Right now, some clouds. It is 71 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hospital Sisters Health System isn't just in your community. We're your neighbors, your friends, your support system. From your first visit, you'll experience expert care backed by the strength of our entire health network. At HSHS, we put your health first, with medical expertise and kindness that makes you feel valued at every step. HSHS, connected to our community, committed to your health. Visit hshs.org/caring to learn more.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. Buying your brand new Buick or GMC has never been easier. Here at Suntrup Buick GMC, our family-owned and operated dealership has been proudly servicing St. Charles County for over 30 years by always providing aggressive pricing, a massive inventory selection, and exceptional customer service. Buying from Suntrup means you get the best vehicle at the best price. Visit Suntrup Buick GMC today or visit us online at suntrupbuickgmc.com and save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have the secret sauce, they don't. In fact, if their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Steve All of the All Financial Group doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. He'll develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 for your personal portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Anderson is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Find out why Renewal by Anderson has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1957. rbastl.com.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX. Matt Pauly, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Feel free to throw in your thoughts on the stream. If you want to do that on Facebook, you can do it on Twitter or YouTube. You can text 314-436-7900. Questions or comments, whatever you want, man. Either way you want to handle it, we'll throw you into the mix. Let's get into the move. In fact, let's start with this. We'll just start with our Game Day Men's Performance Peak Performer. I think this is it's a regular feature, but I think it's important because we can build a neat little conversation out of this as we go forward. But the Game Day Men's Health Peak Performer today is Ivan Herrera. Okay. He's not back in, done anything yet. Had a good rehab, but he's coming back tomorrow, and Lucan Baker is going to AAA. And I think we all know the impact that Herrera's bat had in the first week of the season. It's just crazy that it was only a week.
7 games.
I know, it felt like more than that, didn't it?
If I walked out on the street right now, or if I walked over to Ballpark Village and I went up to like a Cardinals fan who is still very in tune and said, how many games do you think Ivan Herrera played this year for the Cardinals? I think very few of them are answering 7.
Yeah.
It feels like more than that.
And because he had that big of an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, he was swinging a great bat. So he's today's peak performer. It's brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health. So Herrera being there, to me, is a real critical thing because I think the one thing the offense doesn't have right now is a lot of consistent power. They've been hitting for average. They've been getting on base pretty well, but what they're lacking is the home run power. And it's not that it isn't there, but you're not getting it from Walker, and you're not getting it from Gorman, and you're not getting it from Burleson.
Right.
So those are 3 of the guys you wanted and needed to get home runs from. I mean, like if Gorman has a year that you need him to have, he's a 25 homer guy. And Burleson hit 20 last year. And Walker, you would like to get 18 to 20 and eventually more as he settles in down, in future years. But at this point, you're not getting any power from those guys. So I think that makes Herrera's return even more important.
To be fair, you just got 2 over 2 days from Burleson, so you hope that that's the sign of things moving forward.
I mean, you hope.
Yeah.
You hope. But Herrera is a guy that probably needs to be in the lineup every day right now, even when he's not catching.
Yeah, has to be.
And Ollie kind of talked about that on the Gas House Gang. We played the clips.
Yeah, he's a top 2, top 3 offensive player on this team, and from a run production standpoint, he might be number 1.
And let me ask you this: then
Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras is number 1.
Yeah, I think he's by the end of the year, I expect Contreras to be the best offensive player on the team. It wasn't that early, and we know that happened. We're not idiots, but like. So the reason I don't. We're going to get into the bigger thing with Baker going down and 3 catches on. We'll get into that in the next segment. But I think you've got to put Herrera right into the 4 spot.
I'm fine with that.
In fact, I would argue. I kind of like the top 3 at the moment. I don't know that I want to mess with that. I like how Wynn's swinging it. I think he fits well between Nootbaar and Donovan. And Donovan's not going to hit home runs, but there's nothing wrong with having a really strong hitter like Donovan there when you've got 2 guys in front of him who can fly. So I don't have a problem with any of that. You got 2 big on-base guys there. You'll produce runs. I think it's time for Arenado to slip back a little bit.
And I think he's fine with that. And
I mean, he's not been terrible.
No.
But Contreras and Herrera are both bigger, dangerous bats.
And we've seen, with the Goldschmidt stuff last year, we'll see them eventually move down those veteran guys in the order. like most things with the Cardinals, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for them to get to that point, but it's not like they are completely averse to it.
No, and I think the team sometimes is more averse to it than the player.
I would agree, yeah.
I mean, because now the guys you need behind those top three are going to be Contreras and Herrera. And unfortunately, Arenado's bat speed is sliding back just a little bit. So
I'm also
something to keep an eye on.
His back issue, too. We got to keep a really close eye on that.
Something to keep an eye on. Stick around. We're going to talk more about that roster construction with Herrera coming back right after traffic here on KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This traffic report's a service of Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty. We still have this jam in Warrenton, eastbound 70, backed up west of Warrenton, all the way up out to the Wright City Rest area. Bumper to bumper hasn't changed all afternoon. Still restrictions there, obviously, roadwork related, I believe. Southbound 170 still kind of slow south of Olive and spots down to 64 from an earlier crash. Westbound 64 is crowded. Kings Highway out through McCausland. It's jammed approaching Clarkson down through Chesterfield Parkway West because of a recent crash, and it's heavy from Lake St. Louis or 364 through the boulevard where we had a wreck. It's slow out to 70. Looks like they cleared that one as well. Southbound 270, not much to worry about now. Southbound 141 still backed up Helfrich down into Valley Park and Gravois Bluffs most of the way down to Tesson Ferry. Southbound 55 Gasconade Debates, that's still busy. Westbound 44 still a little heavy between the bridges downtown. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888. Sell your home with certainty. Sell your home with Gloria Lou, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria Lou's name is her promise. Call 314-325-6888 and start packing.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, picking back up the conversation with Ivan Herrera coming back, it meant that Luke and Baker went down to the minors. Matt, look, this is not about this. To me, this is the same thing you did with Chris Roycroft. It's the same thing you did with Ryan Fernandez, and you're doing that with Luke and Baker. The only way to get better and to get yourself right is to go play.
Yeah.
And, he's just not going to have a role where he plays every day here to be able to kind of work things out. So having Baker go do that might make him a greater asset for you later in the year. But at the moment, even like most teams will be like, we don't want three catchers because it limits us. This wouldn't limit you at all.
Not at all.
Because Baker only plays first base.
Yeah.
And let's just put it this way. We're going to say that Pozo is taking the Baker spot. Well, he plays first and he catches. And he's hitting better than Baker is. He gives you that danger off the bench late against a lefty because he's a pretty good hitter. It gets you Herrera in the lineup on a regular basis, and you're better defensively with those two guys getting more catching.
And let me throw this at you as well, because when he first started his rehab assignment, Herrera, he felt some pretty good soreness, and they actually slowed things down. In a perfect world, he probably would have been back with the Cardinals during the Pittsburgh series, and they slowed things down. You don't want to ask him to catch a lot right now.
No.
You want to ease him back in. So by having Pozo on the roster, you've got protection for Herrera. And the second thing on this as well is this sets you up for what the roster could potentially look like when Jimmy Crooks is ready.
Oh, yeah.
Because you
with
want
Crooks in the Pozo spot.
Yeah. You want to be able to have Crooks on the roster along with Herrera and Pajes. So there's lots of reasons to do this. Now I'm a Luke and Baker guy.
Yeah.
I like him. I think
he's worked his butt off.
He's got to hit more home runs. That's what he was not doing. He had a double the other day. He was doing some things well, but you need more power from him. You need home run power from him. So it's an opportunity to send him down. Just you mentioned, Roycroft and Fernandez. I'm fans of those guys too. Like I'm a big believer in Ryan Fernandez. I am a big believer in Chris Roycroft. I'm a believer in Luke and Baker. Sometimes it's best for them not to be on the big league roster.
Yep. And again, we saw this with Walker in the past. When it wasn't good for him, you got him down. When it was so bad for Nolan Gorman last year, you weren't going to be able to find him time. You send him down. Sometimes you just have to get right. And I think the other thing that this strikes me about, Matt, is we do need to get to a point where you're not taking Herrera's bat out of the lineup late in close games.
Yes.
So I get what you're doing when you're saying, okay, he's had 3 at-bats. We're up 2 runs. We're going to go for defense. I understand it completely, especially at the time they did that. Which series was that? Was it Philly that they did that? No, it was earlier than that. But they did that. Oh, it was the Angels. Was it the Angels? I think it was the Angels. 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 I think it was the Ang I forget who it was, but they had 3 guys that were base stealers coming up. There might have been the Reds early in the year.
Yeah.
But they had base stealers coming up, and Ollie was like, look, we can't have those guys getting on and stealing a bag, so you bring in hot pies to control the running game. Totally get it. I think that's smart.
He's only appeared in games against Minnesota, the Angels, and Boston.
It was Angels then.
Okay.
It was the Angels because it was Kyron Paris and a couple other guys that could run. And I'm fully on board with that. I mean, I'm the catching defense guy. I will never not be that as a catching instructor and as a former catcher. I will always value defense there. But you need that bat in the lineup when it's a close game late, because if you go into extra innings or you happen to get around to the 9th inning and that spot comes up in the lineup, you want that bat there. Well, the DH gives you that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to take his bat out.
Yeah. So I'm long-term perspective. I don't think Ivan Herrera is a guy who's going to be doing a ton of catching.
No.
So why force the catching thing right now? That doesn't mean don't catch at all. I'm not saying
No.
that.
Yeah. But maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah. When you've got and especially, you don't know how long Joel Pozo is going to keep hitting.
No.
That's the other side of this. He may fall off at some point in time. And when he falls off, if Lucan is swinging a hot back at Memphis, you can switch those guys and then you're back to having Herrera catching more. But sometimes the Cardinals are not great at taking advantage of the hot bat.
Yeah,
and right now, Joel Pozo is showing that he's got a hot bat. And we don't know if this is going to last at the major league level or not because he doesn't have the track record.
Yeah.
Ride it now.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
One thing I like is that they're actually have a bench you can use now. You know, last year's bench was pretty much unusable. And this year's bench started off a little more limited because, and look, I'm not trying to beat up on Ciani. He just didn't really have a role with his team based on the way the outfield is set up. And your bench now gives you some of this ability to move players around. Now, what we're talking about, though, with Herrera getting DH time is going to impact guys. I mean, it's not going to impact Donovan or Wynn or Arenado or Victor Scott or Lars Nootbaar.
But Gorman and Burleson. Those are the guys.
But it's Gorman, Burleson, and Walker.
Okay.
Because I think Walker's at a point where he's got to start showing some progress. And not that he's going down, but he's going to get fewer starts.
And if what we saw from Burleson over the last 3 days is real, you need him out in right field a little bit more often if Walker's not hitting. If winning is
especially based on matchups, right? So this is kind of the point, though, that Herrera being here makes your lineup better, but it also is going to, limit some runway.
Well, that's what
the runway. We keep saying. I'm so sick of the word runway. I just don't know what other words to use.
I mean, opportunity is the other word, but who cares about the words right now? It's the point of what we're talking about. They've already done this though, because this is what happened when Nolan Arenado was here. So it's just more of the same. So deal with it and move forward.
Yeah, and because when we're talking about Herrera, we're not talking about a 32-year-old. This is also a guy that's a part of your future.
Yeah.
So if you're sacrificing the future with not the future, but the evaluation time, the opportunities with Gorman and Walker for Herrera, okay. I don't want to do that for Michael Ciani, who I don't think is a long-term impact player for the team, but Herrera clearly can be.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be a guy that when Contreras' contract is up as your first baseman and a DH.
Which that's how he profiles out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fascinating. All right, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on the Redbird Rush Hour. We're going to talk some bullpen. We actually disagree a little bit.
We do.
Not on a major part of this, but on a minor part of it. But I think it's an interesting conversation about putting together the bullpen and what this team will need. We'll talk about that coming up on the Redbird Rush Hour.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If i3 broadband is not providing your internet at your home, bluntly, you can do better. I didn't always have i3 and I could do better. And then I did do better. I got i3 and now I love my home internet. It's consistent. It's reliable. That's the thing that's most important. It is reliable. You don't have those micro dropouts that you have for God knows. I'm no tech guy, but your internet just drops out randomly every once in a while. That doesn't happen with i3. They're great. The speeds are really good. They stay consistent. The upload speed and the download speed are mirrored. I didn't realize how big of a deal that was until I got their internet and realized how much faster it was just because they were mirroring the speed. They also make it really easy for you to make the switch. They come in, they take care of everything. So if you're worried about like the loopholes you have to jump through to change out your home internet, I can tell you it's really not a big deal. It's easy to do. Put your address in, see if they're available in your neighborhood. i3broadband.com. That's i3broadband.com. It's the best internet you're going to find. You're going to love it. i3broadband.com.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we've still got some backed up traffic out west on eastbound Highway 70 from about the Warrenton roundabout in through Highway 47. After that, it doesn't look as bad. It was going all the way into the Wright City Rest area earlier, so it's finally getting better. Westbound 64 Science Center out to McCausland, still slow, a little slow west of Clarkson toward Topgolf, an earlier wreck there, and then west of the Boulevard out to 70, kind of slow. 70 west of Lake St. Louis through 61, still kind of busy. South 270 just off the pace, midway down from 44 to Gravois. Southbound 141 into Valley Park looks better. Let's call it Highview to 13th Street a jam, and then it's slowed down to 21 after that, so still busy around that area. Southbound 170 bogs down at the Parkway. Eastbound 64 McKnight to Big Bend, still slow. Southbound 55 a little busy at Gasconade, Bates, and right around McNutt there's some heavy traffic. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, let's talk bullpen. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We were talking about bullpen construction the other day, a little bit off the air and then a little bit on, but we never really had time, and we don't have a ton now. But we can get to a little bit of it. So when we were talking about who goes to the pen from the rotation, we had a little back and forth about Michaelis versus Matz. And the way that I put it, Matt, was unless Matz is going into leverage, if we're just talking long relief, then it should be Michaelis in the pen and Matz in the rotation. Well, obviously, they're not going that route.
Right.
So this was a little bit, now it's a little bit more of a hypothetical rather than what they're actually doing.
But still good conversation.
Yeah, because what I would argue is not that, it's not like a death match type thing. I would argue that the better starter should start and the guy who's not going as well should be the long relief, mop up, pitch when we need you, but we're not going to put you in any leverage. Now, we know they're going with the leverage role for Matz, which is good. I think we both agree on that.
Yes. Here's where I agree that, like, I think Matz has more upside than Michaelis right now as a starter. So we agree on that. Where we don't agree, if Miles Michaelis is in the bullpen as your mop-up guy, it's just, to me, it's just a wasted spot in the bullpen. I think he's going to give you more as a starter than he will in the bullpen. I don't know how successful he's going to be as a starter, but it's definitely going to be more successful as a starter than he is a relief pitcher. I have zero confidence that Miles Michaelis is going to be able to go to the bullpen and have any success whatsoever. I think it'll be a total disaster. I would rather just see the team wash their hands of Miles Michaelis than ever even consider him. He doesn't want to go there. He's not going to have success there. To me, there is zero upside to Michaelis being in the bullpen. There's a little bit of upside to him being a starter. There's a little bit of upside to Matz being in the bullpen. There's a lot of upside to Matz being a starter. That of all the possible scenarios of looking at one guy as a starter and one guy as the mop-up guy, the only scenario to me that has zero upside is Michaelis in the bullpen. I will do anything to stay away from that.
The problem is they've already had guys they won't use, though. So why can't he be that guy?
It's just going to be
because here's the thing. If he's not pitching well, he's hurting you every 5 days. If he's in that mop-up role, he's only hurting you when things are already terrible.
At least if it's Matt Swanson, you're getting a look at a young guy when he happens to go out there and do something.
I would also agree with you in the sense that I'd be happy just moving on when you get to that point rather than doing that. But we know that they're worried about their depth coverage, so they don't want to move on from a player.
Right, and they have.
And as long as he pitches competently, this conversation doesn't matter.
Right. And even his last start wasn't terrible. 3 runs in 5 innings.
That's enough to be a fifth starter.
Yes. So if he keeps being that guy with the occasional even better start, it's just when the blow-up starts start to accumulate.
Yes, and that's the worry, because that really hurts you for the whole week.
And some of his underlying numbers would tell you that could happen.
They're not good.
They're not good.
They're not good. And look, I think it's, when it comes to Miles, I like Miles. I don't really have an issue with him, but I'm all about performance. I'm all about what are you doing? Not about, are you funny? Not about do people like you? Do your teammates like you? The same thing with Siani. I know that he's a good clubhouse presence. I know that he's a hard worker. I know that he's a great defender, but he's not helping you.
Miles Michaelis in the bullpen would make your team more worse. This is bad English.
It would make it
than him as a starter.
You should say more worser.
Yeah, there you go.
That's correct.
And we'll all go have we'll be funner together.
Yeah. By the way, it drives me nuts when players say that when they're doing interviews.
Funner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that too much.
Yeah.
Or when people say first basemans.
Mm-hmm.
It's already plural, but you don't need to add another S.
Yep.
Look at me being a grammar jerk. What can I do? So as we go forward now, quick look at this Washington series, Matt. Washington is not great. 17-21. They give up a lot of runs, generally speaking. Their bullpen's a mess, other than Finnegan, who's, once again, kind of one of the more underrated bullpen arms. But they got two pretty good starters going in this series. Mitchell Parker's been pretty good this year, the lefty. And then Mackenzie Gore is kind of their version of Matthew Liberatore this year.
Yeah, this is you got to go have some success in this series, especially when you consider what's coming up next, where you have the Phillies in the second, and then you never know how a team's going to play on that third game of a 3-city trip. So go have your success against Washington and win at least 2 of 3.
I mean, it'd be great. It's, again, not going to be automatic because of the guys I talked about, but then when you get to Philly, it gets even tougher. So get ready for that.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Have fun with Sports Up Line.
We'll do.
All right, Matt Pauley coming up next right here on KMOX.
The legendary Fast Eddie of Fast Eddie's Bon Air and Cardinals Hall of Famer